it's a dry basin. When it storms, that low area there will fill up with water and then slowly percolate through, and there's a control structure at the other end that will allow it to flow out of the area. So this is just some statistics for Dublin, just to kind of, where are we in the world? This is the Scioto River, and the colored areas are the different watersheds that we have. So if you're curious as to what a watershed is, basically the creek is through the center. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. And then everything flows towards that direction. So that the watershed is the area that flows to that creek. So then you get to another high point, and here's another creek, and so that area flows into that. So then we have those all around, and then we have 25 square miles roughly. I mean, we've annexed a little bit since this information was developed, but we roughly have 25 square miles within Dublin of our watersheds, but then 10 square miles comes into Dublin from outside of our limits. So this is just kind of a breakdown of what the different facilities are that we have in Dublin. We have 360 stormwater control measures right now, and they have various ownerships depending on who manages it, who maintains it. You know, some are city-owned, but homeowner association maintained. Those are typically the stormwater control measures in a subdivision. And then we have a lot of private entities that have their own ownership and their own maintenance of those. So this is just kind of a breakdown of where those different stormwater control measures are around the city and the different watersheds. So I'm quickly going to go through our new manual, because it's kind of interesting as to how this is done with the city. And so our last manual was 2007, and before that it was 98. So we get longevity out of our manuals. We try to make them for the future. One of the things that changed is just the amount of stormwater that the design engineer has to calculate for the different levels of storms. There's a 1-year, 2-year, 5-year, 25-year, 50-year, and 100-year that they have to calculate all of their calculations for. So we did location-specific requirements, which I'm going to get more into later. Post-construction BMP details. I'm going to talk about Bridge Street corridor in a second, and then the other thing is the increase in minimum. This is interesting because Ohio EPA's minimum is 1 acre. City of Dublin's current minimum is 500 square feet. So basically, if you add 2 parking spots on your site, you have to do stormwater management for it. We are trying to increase that to 2,000, just to get some of those little small sidewalk installations or parking, another parking spot or 2. We're trying to get those to be able to go through without stormwater management, because typically those do not cause any more harm to the stormwater management. They're incremental, so we want to kind of get those to be able to get through the process a lot quicker. And then we've added a feasibility assessment for those smaller projects too. Is it feasible to even put the stormwater controls on your site if you're adding a small amount? So I'm going to go through Bridge Street corridor. I'm hoping a lot of folks have kind of heard of this area in Dublin. And the main reason we redid our manual is because we needed to get controls that could be done in the area of Bridge Street where there's not a lot of open space. We're not going to want a pond on every corner in Bridge Street. So we had to develop what methods that could still be used to control stormwater and clean it and that sort of stuff, but not hinder the development. So this is This is, the blue dashed line is the outline, so it's basically 270 Sawmill, a little bit south of 161 is Bridge Street corridor. So the main gist of the manual is to make it usable for this area, as well as the rest of Dublin. I mean, we have it all. So this is the thing that we developed is, okay, so here's your Bridge Street corridor. And different methods will work better in different areas. And of course, we always have to comply with EPA. So what we did is we created this table to determine, the design engineer has to determine where they are in the world. If they're outside of Bridge Street, they do everything that they used to do. It's the same quantity and quality control we've had for years. If there are different areas of Bridge Street, there's different requirements that they have to meet. For most part, the quantity control is not applicable because we've done our pipes sizing within historic Dublin and that area appropriately. Plus there's the fact that there's the Scioto River right here in the middle. So everything from this area and this area, side of town, we don't want to control that. We don't want to slow that water down. We want it to get it to the river and get it out of there. Because all of those other storms from all of those other areas outside of that area are going to come in. So that means faster moving water, quicker into the river. So we want to get this localized area out and gone before the other stuff comes in. So we did some controls, and that's what's listed here in this spreadsheet. Does that make sense? Kind of? So then we also have, one thing we've never really been concerned about in Dublin is redevelopment. It's always new development. Everybody wants to build here in Dublin, which is awesome. But we haven't had, we don't have the brownfields. We don't have the old industrial sites that we need to clean up and then have someone develop. But more so with this Bridge Street corridor, we're going to have redevelopment. We're going to have buildings that are torn down and a new thing built. So then we created this spreadsheet up here to say if your redevelopment is disturbing 1 or more acres, you follow these requirements, and if you're disturbing less than 1 acre, then you follow this table down here. So we're guiding engineers, design engineers, as to how to develop in Dublin with their stormwater. And these are really cool. Okay, I'm sorry, but these are really cool. These are our BMP, Best Management Practices, guidelines. So this one here, this is a traditional bioretention. So you can see a photograph down here of what it's supposed to look like. It's basically, a vegetated low area. And that's where all the stormwater goes to. And vegetation will soak up water a lot faster than if it's just left grass. Grass will soak it up. But if it's, bigger bushes and specialized plants, their roots go down deeper and they soak up more water. So this is a wonderful method, and it looks nice, a way of handling stormwater. So what's really neat about this is over here you have your guide, your instructions on how to build or how to design this pond and what needs to be done, what the elements are, what the calculations are, what it's supposed to look like, what the slopes are, all that kind of good stuff. But they're numbered. So if you don't know what we mean by this, there's a number, and then you go over to the diagram and you say, oh, that's what they're talking about. So it can really help engineers understand what we need in the city for our stormwater management. And then this is another one, this is a retention basin, a wet pond. And again, the same thing, we give you a picture of what it should look like, what we like, and then the diagram that correlates to the